thank Ercan for his talk full of love. Kenan Rifai says, Tarika doesn't mean that coming to tekke and saying who, it means knowing Allah, knowing your humanity. Just like this, I have been asking this question: how can tasawwuf be taught in academies? I think tasawwuf in academies, just like in tarika, not being only saying only who, it is actually to really contemplate on the text that we have been reading, and in order to really listen to these texts as if we are listening to the ezan, the call for prayer, and perhaps think about them for years and years. And that's why I'd like to thank Ercan Bey for his encouragement of such knowledge full of love. Now, this is a story like when Eylül was 15 years ago a young graduate from the Faculty of Theology who's experiencing her first years of teaching, a big box of various written material, manuscripts, was handed in her trembling and clumsy hands by her teacher Cemal Nur Sargut. Well, these manuscripts was actually a notebook of commentaries of tasawwuf texts written by either Kenan Rifai's handwriting or written by his students. Among them were commentary of Rumi's Masnawi and Divan-ı Kebir explanations of verses and hadiths, and anonymous risalets about various Sufi concepts. Now, after years, I found an opportunity to work on this notebook that contains commentary of the third volume of Masnawi as my graduate thesis. So briefly, the study was an analysis, an amendment, and a translation of the text from the Ottoman language into contemporary Turkish. Amendment part may be described as finding the verses and hadiths in the text, identifying time, place, people, and resource as such. This is actually a very comprehensive study, because in the past such a study was carried out with a very big group of people consisting of historians, writers, the first volume of Masnawi. But with the encouragement, with the hikmah that my teacher Cemal Nur has transmitted on me, and I would also like to thank Mustafa Tahralı for his contributions. I have attempted to do something, but in reality, within this box, I have seen so many different other handwritten texts that belong to the other volumes of Masnawi. There were text notes that belong to all the other volumes of Masnawi. Perhaps a PhD student on her own may not be able to handle all these texts together. So perhaps the institute, the academic tasawwuf institutes may actually work on this, and a group of academicians may end up having a thesis on this. Of course, as far as my tasawwuf thesis has allowed, I try to actually find out where. So this, I can summarize it as long as my thesis has allowed me to do. Kenan Rifai's Masnawi shares commentaries, manuscripts, and giving information about this, and some important things that have attracted my attention while analyzing this. When I first analyzed this, when I actually looked at the text from the knowledge that I had then, now I see that the knowledge I have now is a little bit different, so the way I approach is a little bit different. Kenan Rifai's, since the texts have got no amendment, no revision, and it's original as in his words, and I can now see much better how he himself actually analyzes and lectures these Masnawis. So this is actually also perhaps sufficient for the time being to answer some of the questions. Once I was lecturing Masnawi, not from the teacher's desk, but on the niche from the essence of the essence. Now, one day a Mevlevi sheikh who visited the dergah objected and said, "What kind of Masnawi lessons are you giving? Masnawi is to be taught in Persian." Then I knew Persian as much as I learned from the school, but after this incident, with the favor and the kindness of Allah, I started to tell Masnawi both in Persian and with its original fashion. So as you have very rightfully said, looking into the words, the roots of the words is very helpful. During period in the Altah dergah, there was spiritual discourse and Masnawi courses once a week in Fatih, and these lessons were noted and written by his close students. It was read from its original text, translated, and lectured by Kenan Rifai. The text that Ismail Ankara Rusuhi used in the Masnawi commentary was being used, and the collection of these lecture notes that contain tales from various volumes was published by Kazım Büyükaksoy, and then we actually have witnessed the first volume that was published in 1970. So what I'd like to say is, this Masnawi Sharh, I would like to say again that from the first volume till the end of the sixth volume, Sharh has been completely done once, and when it is actually done the second time, unfortunately it has to be over because of the banishment of the dervish lodges, the tekkes in Turkey. So among the people we had Samiha, Ayverdi, Cemiha, Semal, Nazlı Hanımefendi, Server, Hilmi, Kazım Büyükaksoy, who were fortunate enough to follow his lessons, also coming from the close circles and from the family. So after the banishment, the discourse was actually amongst the close family circle. So Meşgure Anne also told me that all the notes that he had written down was actually handed over to herself. That's what I've heard from Meşgure Anne saying. So some of them are now given to me from Cemal Nur Hoca's and Meşgure Anne's libraries, but some other notes are actually now in the precious family members of Kenan Rifai. One of them is actually been sent to our association Türkat as a gift by one of the elderly coming from the family. Inshallah they will all be analyzed, because even only in one volume of Masnawi, as my teachers have very rightfully said, so many insights have been gained, and inshallah from the other volumes we will be having the same blessing. The third volume, which is second notebook, is the one that I have analyzed. It consists of 202 pages. It was very legible. Of course, I had some difficulties, but with my teacher's contributions and assistance, I was able to figure out. But there are, there were some words that I couldn't figure out. And then the second draft, it is probably the second draft. I mean, somebody has rewritten it from the observations I've made. There are 125 lessons, and it starts with stories and ends with a story where a sheikh doesn't cry after his son's death. I think there are some parts missing, and the person who takes the notes were probably absent during the sohbet. So he actually and we can understand that Kenan Rifai is so competent in Arabic and Persian, and that there is no need for editing in the manuscript when I saw. So the way they heard from Kenan Rifai could very easily be transmitted onto the page, and it was a language was used very fitting to the period, and some expressions actually made me think that it was so natural, so flowing, that the text was actually, one may think that the text is originally in Turkish. So anything that is variable in its nature, be it a state, pleasure, beauty, or proficiency, cannot be considered as true beauty itself. So this is actually a very beautiful, a very natural language. And sometimes Latin, French, and he also used some Albanian expressions. So he uses so many enriched language, and while reading the text, it gives us an idea on how broad his world of thought was. So this gives us a chance to realize the nature of highly qualified circle in terms of readiness and perceptiveness of the knowledge discussed. So come to my presence. Don't come to my presence with the knowledge that you would like to hear from the street scholars. Come to me with learned knowledge. So that's why when we analyze his text, we actually have to have this background knowledge. Perhaps we should read text together, because what is challenging for me is that an academician being so lonely. So if we have group work, teamwork, I'm sure it will be more beneficial, so that we can actually benefit from these texts much more. So the themes that have been mentioned are zikir, patience, fakr, poverty. These are related to beautiful conduct, mürşit, edip, good manners, and also the layers of creation from Ibn Arabi teaching related to oneness of being, conceptions about oneness of being. Especially what attracted me was, of course, I analyzed all these concepts, but the most attractive one for me is the issue of methodology, as well as actually the issue of humanity, human. So what is human nature? Why does human exist in this universe? So I mean, the texts were as if an anthropologist was actually analyzing. So that was very impressive. So the field of anthropology can also benefit from this a lot, which is a good tiding for so many anthropologists. And the original of the notebook, some words are so actually the words that he has used, the style, his style is very important, because he himself is dealing with the text, so we are dealing with his commentary text, so we have to actually analyze the techniques and the styles that he himself is using as he approaches the text. So that's an important thing. So we have to really pinpoint his significance, his place as a Masnawi commentator. So I would like to actually mention the style, as well as my teacher over here very righteously mentioned. It's not very classic. Do you think it's a classic commentator, the way he is?
So he did not ignore the classic, he reads the text, he explains and gives the global meaning, the külli meaning, and also he uses other qualities using other resources as well, and benefits from other resources as well. And he comments on certain verses one by one, and some of them are explained more globally. Also, he is concerned with the outcome, and with one way it is a classical method and style, and on the other hand we could only call it a unique approach. I would like to thank to my master, to my Hoja. I was like a little puppy in front of the gates of Harvard. I have seen what kind of methods do the Westerners develop. James Morris here deserve a big thank you. He taught me how to read closely. They were very, very special times, but we oversee the close reading, the deep reading. We only just say, this person has overall meant to say this. We're more general. But Kenan Rifai doing this with a close reading, at the very end sentence, he uses a tawhidi, a unionistic approach. So from a close reading to a far reading, he compiles all of the knowledge that has been transferred to his times. He excludes none of them and brings them all in. And what I've learned from my Hoja is to be between exclusion and metaphor. And so it is very clear of him to say, I have a nearsighted and a far-sighted approach, and this is better to express his methodology, and this will show us how much of a different commentary he uses, because every murshid is known. Murshid means knowledge. Murshid means knowledge, and they said that you had to hold on to their cloak. Yes, we did hold on to their cloaks, but also they carried them, they outburst like a volcano, and we love the bursting words out of them. We read them, we hear them, we cry, and they are a reason for us for knowledge, but there's going to be an end to their words as well. So we have to reveal, we have to disclose their method of science and knowledge, so that we can actually come to a point of understanding how do they deal with a certain problem and issue, how do they line up the other issues. That is the way we need to adopt, so that we do not only see them as a personality who has lived in the past and has left students and ideas and opinions to us, so that we can live them and revive them. Thank you.